Every room is a test, not of charm, not of intelligence, but of control. The moment you walk in, eyes start scanning, not to understand you, to assess how much power you hold. Most people do it without knowing. A glance at your shoes, the way you pause, a smile that's a little too polite. They're not reading you for truth. They're reading you for threat, for status, for use. But there's another level, a darker one, a mindset that doesn't react to people's performances. It sees through them, not just to understand them, to predict them, to use them. Machiavelli didn't observe people with empathy. He studied them like terrain. Every weakness a foothold, every habit a map. And when he walked into a room, he already knew who could be broken, who needed a mask, and who was hiding the knife. This isn't about reading faces. It's about decoding the human operating system, the subtle cues that betray what a person's really protecting. If you want to see someone's core, start where their guard is lowest. It's easy to fake kindness to someone powerful, but watch how they treat someone with nothing to offer. A waiter, an assistant, a person they believe doesn't matter. That's not performance. That's instinct. And instinct is the only signal that can't be polished. Because people don't reveal themselves when they want something. They reveal themselves when they think there's nothing to gain. And if you really want to expose the performance, say nothing. Give them silence. Not just once. Let it sit. Let it stretch. People don't fear silence because it's empty. They fear it because it reflects them back at themselves. In silence, the insecure start talking more. They rush to fill space with charm, flattery, noise. They overshare, and in the flood of words, they drown in truth they never meant to give away. This is how power reads people, not by interrogation, but by pressure. You want to know someone's real motives? Withdraw, offer nothing, no praise, no warmth, no benefit. Let them interact with your absence. Some will shrink. They only showed up to extract. Some will chase. They need your validation to feel real. And a rare few will stay unaffected. These are the ones to watch, because composure is a threat. Some people build their identity around charm. They're polished, thoughtful, even vulnerable. But if it feels too perfect, it's a script. Interrupt it. Break their rhythm. Pause where they expect laughter. Respond to flattery with indifference. Change the subject when they're mid-performance. And just like that, they stumble. Not physically and psychologically. And in that stumble, they reveal the part they were trying to hide. Control isn't in how people act when they're winning. It's in how they react when something's taken away. So test it. Say no, and to something small. Deny a favor they expected. Withdraw a little attention. If they stay calm, they have emotional discipline. If they turn bitter, you've just uncovered entitlement. Resilience is rare, and it's the only signal that doesn't lie under pressure. Because the truth is, people don't talk for expression. They talk to position themselves. So who are they performing for? It's not always you. Sometimes their words are shaped for someone not even in the room. A rival, an imagined judge, an invisible crowd. Watch where they look, who they try to impress. Their loyalty is owned by the person they shape their identity for, and that person may not be you. The most revealing test isn't what they say they value. It's what makes their mask crack. Mention something subtle. A compliment you received, a recent win, and watch the flicker. If they shift tone, deflect, change subject, that's not humility. That's envy. And envy always shows up right before sabotage. No emotion is more dangerous, not because it shouts, but because it hides. People wear it like perfume, faint but undeniable. Want a deeper signal? Ask them what they hate, not what they love. That's easy to perform. Ask what behavior disgusts them in others. You'll hear projection. Because hatred isn't just dislike, it's self-rejection. The things people criticize most often are the traits they're terrified of seeing in themselves. They call others arrogant because they're secretly desperate for status. They preach about honesty because they're masterful liars. The louder the judgment, the darker the confession behind it. But the cleanest read of all? Eye contact, sustain it, then bring up power, rejection, insecurity, failure, and watch their eyes. When the eyes twitch or flee, you've hit something they're not ready to face. The eyes are where the mask exits. Most people try to read others by asking. The powerful provoke the answers. They don't ask for honesty, they trigger it. This is where psychological reading becomes psychological warfare. You're not just watching behavior, you're shaping it, quietly, subtly, without ever announcing your control. One of the sharpest tools? Reflection. Mirror their tone, their posture, their pacing. Not obviously, subtly, slowly, precisely. When people see themselves in you, they unconsciously relax. They feel seen, safe, understood. But what happens next is the tell. Mirror their calm, and they become dominant, trying to reassert power. Mirror their insecurity, and they become arrogant, desperate to flip the script. Mirror their confidence, and some will panic, unsure how to maintain the act. Because when their own energy is reflected back to them, it reveals whether it was ever real. A strong identity stays still. A performance scrambles to recalibrate. Now, what happens when instead of judgment, you begin with admiration? Not fake praise, just enough respect to catch them off guard. Compliment their intelligence. Acknowledge something they've achieved. Make them feel seen before striking with precision. Why? Because people are prepared for criticism. They come armed with defenses, but they're rarely prepared for sincere respect followed by a disarming question. You seem like someone who always keeps control. What happens when you lose it? You come off incredibly confident. When did you learn how to fake it that well? You're clearly good at reading people. How do you react when someone sees through you? The ego opens the door, but it's the next question that walks in and flips the room. People are honest when they feel admired. They bleed truth when they think you see them as powerful. Now, you're not just extracting truth, you're guiding perception. Most people define themselves early in conversation. They'll tell you who they think they are. I value loyalty more than anything. I hate fake people. I don't let emotions run my life. That's not just talk, it's blueprint. They're giving you their rules. And once you know their code, you can reframe anything to align with it. Want them to act against their instincts? Don't persuade, just reframe the action as loyalty, or efficiency, or strength, whatever they just told you they admire most. They won't resist, because they think they're just staying consistent with who they are, but they're following your frame, not theirs. Another level deeper. Craft reputations for people before they earn them. Say it casually, publicly. You're the kind of person who always keeps your word. People trust you to stay calm in chaos. You've got a reputation for seeing through BS. Now you've given them something to protect. If they betray that identity, they risk looking inconsistent or fake. So they keep acting in line with the image you installed. No command needed, just narrative. Some strategies don't even require direct interaction, just a leak. Let them overhear something. A story where you outplayed someone, a remark that hints you're not easily manipulated, an offhand comment showing your standards. They won't question what you say because they think they overheard the truth. And what people discover on their own, they believe more deeply than anything you tell them. This is how you guide behavior before they even realize it. You want control? Let them win early. Let them think the idea was theirs, that the insight was theirs, that the outcome was theirs. People defend what they think they built, protect what they think they led, stay loyal to what they think they chose. Machiavelli let people write the first line, so he could own the last page. By this point, you're not reacting to behavior. You're building it. Reading people doesn't mean labeling them. That's amateur work. You don't say, he's insecure. She's a narcissist. They're fake. You diagnose in silence. Then you adjust how you handle them, without ever telling them they've been seen. Labeling out loud creates resistance. Understanding without saying creates control. There are patterns, and once you recognize them, people stop being unpredictable. They become code. There's the over-explainer, always defensive, hiding guilt. The approval hunter, warm on the surface, dangerous when denied. The silent climber, loyal until power becomes available. The unstable genius, brilliant but only usable if emotionally managed. You don't need to expose them. You just need to know who you're dealing with and make sure they never realize you already figured them out. But there's one move left, one test that cuts through all the layers. Say no. Say it clean. Say it with certainty and step back. Rejection is the ultimate pressure point, not to hurt, but to reveal. Some will stay composed. Some will change tones. Some will drop the act entirely. Their reaction to no is the clearest glimpse of who they are without the performance. And in that moment, you're no longer decoding them. You're unmasking them. But here's the paradox. Once you can read everyone, you start seeing the game behind every gesture. You see through the flattery, through the power moves, through the fake humility and weaponized charm. You begin to see people as patterns, not individuals. And that's where the danger begins. Not for them, but for you. Because when you can predict everyone, you risk detaching from them. You move pieces on a board and forget they're human. That's the shadow in high perception. Power without empathy becomes manipulation. Control without conscience becomes cruelty. Influence without purpose becomes decay. And that's the final mastery. Knowing when to stop playing the game and when to disappear while still winning. Machiavelli didn't just teach how to read people. He showed how to use that insight to shape the outcome and vanish before they ever realize who set it in motion. Because the highest form of power is invisible. If you've made it this far, you're not just scrolling, you're searching for something deeper. Thanks for trusting me with your mind. If this spoke to you, like the video, hit subscribe and share it with someone who needs to reclaim their power. Until next time, stay sharp and think deeper.